Hey guys, MrPokke here, back with another video, and today we're going to be going through the CN version 1.0 tier list featuring, I think it's every single unit, not sure if they include the A rank and S rank together, but yeah, without further ado, let's get into today's content. Subscribe! Tier 0 Impact Breaker, done, whatever you call it, is gonna be our very good Lycan, Mr. Wolf. Tier 1, let's just call it stun, right? Because technically stun is the official name. Tier 1 stun is going to be Coleda, and Tier 2 is going to be NB. So yes, they do in fact include the A rank agents, right? So that's going to be that. And then for our attack, our main DPS, Tier 0, is going to be Ellen. And then Tier 1 is going to be Nico Mata as well as Soldier 11. So you guys have seen my previous video about the best S rank standard agent. Then you would have seen it pretty much aligns more or less, right? Then Tier 2 attack is going to be A rank Korean, insane. And Tier 3 is unfortunately going to be Billy. Oh my god. I have no idea what the hell happened to Billy, because in my experience when I was playing Billy back in Simply 3, it was great. I was just doing American stuff. And then lastly for our support, so this is going to be our Rina / Sokako at Tier 0. Not too surprised over there. And Tier 1 is going to be Nicole. Where the hell is Grace? Okay, never mind. I guess Grace is a little bit of a niche. So there's basically 3 main teams that we can see right now. The Ice team with Mr. Wolf, Ellen, and Sokaku. The Fire team with Coleda, Soldier 11, and Ben. And the Lightning Electric team with Grace, Honkai guy, and Rina. So these 3 teams are going to be pretty much the quote-unquote meta team from Zenless Zone 0 based on the CN community. Alright, their testing is based on 60 days of testing through hundreds and hundreds of calculations, nuclear theory crafting. So even though this video is technically only like 6 minutes, 8 minutes long, it has been a lot of effort has been going into this video to kind of find the optimal rotations, the meta, the tier list, all the kind of ranking, right? So yep, not just specific unit ranking, it also comprises of the team building as well, right? So the Ice team, Fire team, as well as the Lightning team, these 3 are going to be the quote-unquote meta teams in the starting 1.0 category. Yeah, so that's gonna be that. And let's just jump in straight into the team building principles, right? Because I believe that a tier list will never be complete if a player does not truly understand how team building works. This can be Honkai Starbucks, this can be Warring Waves, this can be any game, right? So essentially, like I mentioned in my previous video, in my beginner guide, all that kind of stuff, you do want 1 main DPS, 1 attacker, 1 stun to build the days, and 1 additional support characters. Alright, so that's going to be seen over here. You want to add on these days as much as possible because this is going to be a fundamental core mechanic in Zenless Zone 0. Building up these days, letting the enemy hit the 100% days so that you can see that they will receive 125% more damage, as well as the fact that it will replenish. This little yellow bar, it will replenish every time you get a daze. So right now this thing is full, but if you want to parry or whatever, this thing will go down by 1. And if all these bars are reduced, you can't parry anymore. So all the enemy attacks will become red, right? So this is going to be a very, very important mechanic in Zenless Zone 0. So you absolutely want to have 1 stun unit with your team. 1 stun, 1 attack, then the last slot, you just fill it up to fulfill your faction bonuses, as you would have seen from my previous beginner's guide, right? So that's going to be that. Roughly speaking, this T-port, which quite literally translates to break, by the way. Super break! It is very, very similar principle as our Honkai Starbucks Winners Breakers. Because without a breaker in your team, it will take quite a while for your team to actually reach the day state for the enemy. Your main DPS, their impact values are very low. Although they do high damage, they don't generate as much impact value. So you do want to have a breaker in your team at all times in order to ensure the 100% days, right? So this is gonna be the breaker portion, right? So you want a breaker, you want an attacker, and then the rest of us you basically want to support, right? Okay, that's pretty much it. And once you enter into the break state, you can also you can also trigger the QTE, quick swap, coordinated attack, whatever you call it. That's where you can swap between your 1 unit with your remaining 2 other units. So all 3 units can let go of this coordinated attack very, very nicely. Do remember that only 1 unit at any point of time can use the ultimate, right? So that's gonna be that, right? Swap into Billy and all kind of stuff. So that's gonna be very, very nice. Alright. This support, they kind of lumped it both for the anomalies as well as the buffers, right? So Rina, for example, she is a buffer. She buffs your team's hand ratio, which is basically defense rate, as well as dealing all the kind of debuffs. And she also has the electric damage buff, so it can be pretty good for your electric team, such as Grace. And then for the debuffers, such as your Grace, she reduces the enemy's electro rest. I believe that's E2, my bad. But she basically makes your electro damage deal more damage, right? So for all these units, they are considered as our supports, essentially. So very similar to how in Honkai Starbucks, you have your debuffers like Pella, Sailwolf, and you have your buffers like Asta, Rame, Sparkle, all that. They are all considered as supports, right? So that's gonna be that. In Zenless Zone 0, your team building is largely more reliant on your DPS. Your DPS is the foundation of your team. Your DPS will be determining which one is a better support and which one is a better breaker in order to get the best synergies. There's also another reason why in the tier list, having a S rank agent from the DPS category, they more often than not outperform our A rank agents such as Corinne as well as Billy, right? It is what it is. So once you obtain these S rank DPS units, your attacking units, then you can kind of slot in. So for example, Soldier 11, she's fire. You want to pair up with Koleda, so you get the fire damage buff. And then Koleda, you pair up with Ben to get the additional Koleda plus Ben combo, right? If your DPS is going to be Ellen, pair up with Lycoris, and then after you call it. So basically build around your DPS. Okay, cool. Okay, so how do we make use of this tier list, right? You guys just screenshot, take a look, all that kind of stuff. How do we make use of this tier list to the best of our knowledge? So, technically speaking, you can't really decide what you want because there's no such thing as reroll in this function. And if you are rerolling for Zenless Zone 0, good for you, right? So this is basically, depending on what you get, you make use of said units. So if you manage to get Mr. Wolf, then hopefully you are able to net yourself an Ellen to make the tier 0 ice team. If you manage to get a Soldier 11, then hopefully you eventually end up getting your Koleda and as well as Ben to make the fire team. Then same thing, same theory. So it's basically just making use of the resources that is available to you as a player. That being said, doesn't mean that NB is useless, doesn't mean that Corinne is useless, doesn't mean that Billy is useless. Fuck no, they're not useless. It's just that comparatively speaking, they are probably going to be at a slightly less damage output efficiency compared to our other units, right? Not useless, just that there are slightly better units, right? So if any NB fans, Corinne fans, don't look at me, take it to CNC, right? Okay, cool. First things first, the stunners, the breakers, the days, the super breakers. Technically not super break, but technically the breakers. So why is Mr. Wolf the god amongst all furries? Why is he ranked tier 0? So the reason why he is tier 0, okay, people in CN call him Lange, which is Brother Wolf. Insane. Brother Wolf is gonna be our standard 5-star. You can get him from the standard banner, as well as if you lose a 50-50, you can also get a Brother Wolf, right? So very, very poggers, very, very furry, very, very handsome, very nice. Not sure if it's up to your taste, but no matter what it is, the moment you get him, whether you like him or not, if you care about meta, if you care about efficiency, if you care about optimal play, whatever, you have to raise this guy because he is pretty much the strongest breaker that we have. Even if you do not get Ellen Joe, even if, you know, your DPS turns out you miss your 50-50 and you end up getting like Soldier 11 whatever, he is still a very, very strong breaker. For the most part, he is pretty much a must build. And then for our second slot is going to be Koleda. The reason why Koleda is a slightly lower tier than Brother Wolf is because of her synergy with Ben. And if you do not use Koleda with Ben, she does lose a portion of a kit, right? Ben is a free unit that everybody can get, so you can definitely use the both of them together. But it just makes the team building portion a little bit more restrictive because unlike Mr. Brother Wolf, you can free up both slots based on whatever you like. For Koleda, you pretty much almost always want to pair up with Ben. Otherwise, you do miss quite a sizable chunk of her kit itself, right? So just a little bit less flexible. But overall, still very, very good days. Very, very good breaker. So still a excellent unit that you are going to be using in your team because we definitely do need a stun member within our team corps, right? So that's going to be that. NB is going to be our free A rank agent that is pretty much a breaker. So if you are not able to get Koleda, you're not able to get Brother Wolf, and you ended up getting a DPS. So for example, if you got your Soldier 11 or you got your Nico Mata, feel free to just slot in NB there because you have no other choice as a breaker anyways, right? You have no Kuda, you have no Wolf, then she is pretty much the only other breaker that we can run. Very, very neutral character. Nothing too strong, nothing too crazy. That's an overall good neutral unit. As long as your main DPS is going to be there dealing the significant amounts of damage, then she's going to be completely fine. Remember that the focus for Zenless 0, it is still ultimately up to your main DPS to do the highest amount of damage possible, especially when you reach the day state, right? For whether are you using Brother Wolf, whether are you using Koleda, whether are you using Baby Riven, they are all not extremely game-changing. It doesn't change everything. Like using NB doesn't automatically make it like comparatively infinitely worse than using like Brother Wolf, right? So it is what it is. It is completely fine. It is more so relevant depending on your main DPS. Okay, cool. Then jumping into our main DPS, Tier 0 is going to be Ellen. She is absolutely the strongest Tier 0 DPS, and it is not by a small amount. She does outclass Soldier 11 as well as Nico Mata by a very considerable amount. She has iframes, she has dodges, she has crowd clearing, she has crowd control, she has burst damage. She pretty much is the strongest Tier 0 DPS, as we have seen from classic MiHoYo moves, right? In Tier 0, in Season 1.0 for Scylla, we do have Scylla as our strongest Tier 0 DPS, vastly outperforming any of our 4-star. You try to compare Scylla with like use like Arlen, Win Danheng, Herta, it is not even close. It is legit not even close. And even compared to our 5-star standard DPS units like Himiko, like Yanqing, Scylla just vastly outperforms. So Ellen is gonna be a pretty similar unit over here. Do keep in mind one thing though. We are getting a lot of DPS banners. After Ellen, we are going to be getting Tzuyen. And after Tzuyen, we are most likely going to be getting Miyabi. And all of them classifies as a main damage dealer. So frankly speaking, even if you do not get Ellen, because you want to pull for the Fox Samurai Aboba, or you want to pull for the Dom Mami Police Aboba, it is completely fine, and you're not exactly punished that much because there's a lot of options in Zenless 0 when it comes to the main DPS banner, right? So, and let's just be real, if you're a casual player, there's no bloody way you're considering to even tackle the Memory of Chaos version of this game, right? You are nowhere strong enough. You are not even going to be close to building 2 teams. So it is completely fine to just take your time, slowly build them up, and over the couple of maybe 3 weeks later, you want to pull for Chuyen, or 3 weeks later, after that, you want to pull for Miyabi, then go for it, right? So even though she's very strong, she's definitely not a must to play this game. You don't need Ellen to play Zenless 0. It's like not like if you don't get Ellen, just come play the game, right? So that's not true. But that being said, yeah, this does not remove any of her strengths. She is still our rank 1 DPS. Alright, so Soldier 11. Between Soldier 11 and Nico Mata, both of them, they are roughly the same. It is more so dependent on your element. Soldier 11, she is mainly a fire DPS. You can kind of think of it as like fire riven, right? She's basically like a fire riven, dealing fire damage as majority. Even though she does only physical damage, that's not where most of the damage comes from. The most of the damage is still coming from the timed skills, which is the ultimate, where she does deal fire damage, and that's the majority of the damage output, right? So that's gonna be Soldier 11. For Nico Mata, she is a true physical damage assault dealer, physical damage, backstab, AoE clear, all the kind of stuff. So between both of them, they are very similar. It is just depending which elements suit to your preference. So that is gonna be tying up to your days, right? Your stun, and your slot tree, which can be your support. So if you did manage to get luckily managed to get a Koleda, then running Koleda with Soldier 11 as well as Ben is going to be an excellent fire team. If you are going to be running Nico Mata, you do need a physical setup. Unfortunately, we don't really have a excellent physical support right now. You could consider going ahead and use Rina because she does buff the entire team's pen ratio, so that's always going to be great. And then just last slot in a BD just to fulfill the thought, right? But that being said, if you're going to be able to do that, you are going to be lacking the the day slot, right? So maybe not too good. So I guess in terms of team composition in the early game, Fire seems to have a little bit of an edge for Soldier 11 because Ben is given for free. Yeah, so we have Ben and we have Lucy, and both of them we are pretty much gonna get them for free. So in terms of team building, it's a little bit more flexible for Soldier 11. So even if you didn't have Koleda, you can kind of just make it work and then just slot in any sort of a stun that you have, and then you just pair with Ben, and they're gonna work, right? For physical unit, Piper, Billy, Corinne, Nico Mata. The problem with this is all these 3, they are assault units. They're all attack units. So if you do go down this route, you're kind of clashing a little bit. You could consider running Piper as a support, right? This is gonna be a debuffer, right? It's kind of a debuffer support. Run this with Nikomata, and then you get on a stun unit. So that will probably be the call for Nikomata, but it is very, very restrictive because most likely you are not really gonna be running double DPS on the same slot, right? So it is just a little bit unfortunate. So in terms of overall viability, in terms of like the highest ceiling, just because we do have a 5-star fire unit, a S rank Koleda bans Soldier 11, they just synergize very, very well. So at the launch of the game, fire team does outscale a physical team at the start. Not to say that Nikomata is worse, it's just that team building wise, fire is a little bit more comfortable, right? Fire is a little bit more comfortable, right? Okay, cool. Alright, now going to the remaining 2 of our DPS units is gonna be Corrine. Her kit is a lot of hit stunts from the pizza cutter. So if you have seen how Hui works, there's a lot of hit stunts, and she does interrupt the enemy quite well. So pretty decent physical DPS. So if you don't have any of the S rank agents, right, you didn't get Ellen, you didn't get Soldier 11, you didn't get Nikomata, so you ended up getting, like, for example, Brother Wolf, or you end up getting Rina, you can definitely consider running Colleen as your main DPS, right? Opportunity cost. You want to make use of what you have at the moment to make the best team that you can be. So Corinne is honestly not too bad as a DPS. She is definitely still usable. It's just that when it comes to dealing with bosses, it can be a little bit tricky because bosses have a much higher poise. They have a much higher poise, so you can't really hit stun the bosses that much. And she is really, really good against like mobs and like smaller creatures, right? But against bosses, then she have a little bit of a difficulty. But anyways, that's beside the point. So you want to use her is definitely still doable. Okay, and then going into Billy, or keep in mind, Corinne and Billy, they are both completely free units, so you are gonna be able to get them. The reason why Billy is so hated. So Billy is apparently the lowest ranked DPS in CN right now. Might be due to his multipliers, might be due to a lack of hit stun, and might be just because overall maneuverability, he's very, very mobile, right? Billy just doesn't really perform up to par compared to the rest of our female casts. So a little bit short end on the stick here. But if you guys have seen my playthrough in CBD3, I'm not sure how much has changed. I had an absolute blast playing with Billy. It was so fun because I just never got hit and I just permanently crouched down and beat the fuck off anything that comes in my way. So maybe things might have changed. But yeah. Support. So Rina, the strongest boba in Zenless Zone 0. It used to be Nicole, and then Nicole got nerfed. It used to be Grace, and then Grace got nerfed. Rina is the only 5-star, or rather only unit in Zenless Zone 0 that I believe did not get nerfed at all. Nerfed as in not by her kit, right? Not by her kit, but nerfed as in her... Yeah, so yeah, she is going to be our tier 0 support because, as you have seen from my previous video, she does have a team-wide rest pen. A team-wide pen ratio, which is pretty much the equivalent of a team-wide defense penetration, right? Based on her own defense penetration as well as the additional buff that you're going to be able to provide for the entire team. So for that reason, she's a very, very, very flexible slot 3 support slot that you can pretty much just throw into any team, any DPS, any days. You are going to be able to make use of Rina's pen ratio, right? And not to mention, she does appear to excel a little bit more in the mono electric team because of her synergy where she provides our entire team deal more electric damage alongside with Grace, which has a shock anomaly build up and shock damage increase. Grace and Rina, the two biggest boba mummies, they work very, very well in the same team. Then all you need to do left is just throw in a Daze, and that's gonna be a excellent team. And the Daze is going to be Anton, right? So this is overall a very, very solid electric team. But like I mentioned, Rina is still a very, very universal support. You can run out with pretty much any team, and that's gonna be that, right? So that's gonna be a very good fit. The second tier 0, and perhaps our only A rank agent in tier 0, is none other than a completely free unit, Sokaku. Oh, there are two main reasons why Sokaku ended up being the strongest, or rather in the tier 0 category. One reason being she kind of got carried by Ellen. It is what it is. She is the best in slot support for the Ellen Metacom. So Ellen, Brother Wolf, and Sokaku. This is the strongest synergy. Ice team right now from a theoretical damage output standpoint is the highest damage output across fire teams, across electric teams, across physical teams. There's even any. I don't even think we can make an ether team yet until we get Zhou, right? So that's gonna be that. But yeah, Sokaku, she kind of got carried by Ellen because Ice team is just so universally powerful that she's just there as a support, and there's no other Ice support that we can have at the moment, right? So that's number. And number 2, her kit itself is honestly absolutely ridiculous. I'm just gonna show you guys Prywin and what her kit actually does. So Kaku's kit, specifically ice damage of our entire team is increased by 6%. This is one of the reasons why Sokaku is so fucking good. She can trigger a reactive assist on command. Reactive assist is basically the one where after you trigger this, you can instantly swap in and perform the assist attack. So I believe she is one of the rare units which can trigger this reactive assist on command, because other than this, you either need to perform your perfect dodge, your daze, all that kind of stuff. So Kago is one of the only units right now that can trigger this and allow us to seamlessly swap between our rotations from our slot 1 as well as our slot 2, right? For both our days or our DPS. So this is one of the reasons why Sokaku, she's just so universal. So even if you don't use her with an ice team like Ellen and Brother Wolf, she is still gonna be a pretty universal support. You can kind of think of her, I guess like more Teffy or like Sanhua because of this skill, right? So that's gonna be pretty good. Let me wait. I need to give me 1 second. I need to read my chat real quick. What the fuck is wrong with my chat? Sokaku is basically tier 0 in CM because she has the ability to single-handedly control my chat and destroy my train of thought. No other characters has been able to do this, so that's why Sokaku is going to be tier 0, absolutely. Plus all the other reasons that I mentioned just now, so that's going to be that. Alright, anyways, moving on. Boom. Okay, Nicole. So the reason why Nicole is going to be a tier below Rina and Sokaku mainly is because, first of all, element. We don't really have a ether element team yet until we get Zuyan, right? Until we get Zuyan, then that's gonna be a better choice. Second of all, the main function of Nicole is from the Saki. The ability to create this little black hole that can kind of group enemies together and deal AoE damage. So what Dian has noticed is that majority of the time when it comes to this kind of like mobs content, it can be cleared relatively easily, but for bosses, this mechanic of the Saki, it greatly reduces the usage. Because bosses don't care about Saki. You're basically fighting a boss. So in that sense, Nicole, for boss fights especially, the value for Nicole really drops down by quite a bit, right? So that's gonna be that. And then just take a look at the kit real quick. After hitting an enemy, Nicole reloads and Han's bullets reduce target by 20% for 2 seconds. Now, on paper, this was crazy. 20% defense ignore. But in practice, 2 seconds is a little bit short. It's a little bit short. You can definitely time this 20% defense ignore for a big burst. For example, if you're going to be using Nicole with I don't know, Soldier 11 for those big burst ultimates or Ellen, then it's going to be pretty decent. But overall, this 2 seconds is a little bit short. Maybe it increases, right? Oh, it is. It is what it is. Alright, so 2 seconds is a little bit short if I can say so myself. This is honestly really good, but like I mentioned, because we don't really even have a ether element DPS until Zuyan comes out. So this skill is also just completely fucking useless, right? For now. So it is not that Nicole right now is a bad unit, it's just that she doesn't really have the structure to make her shine the most for now, right? So that's the reason why she just ranks a little bit lower compared to Sokaku as well as Rina. Okay, cool. And one last summary is going to be just wrapping up everybody together, and that is going to be the meta ranking tier list for our team comps, right? Best in slot team right now, tier 0 is going to be the ice team featuring Lick, and Ellen as well as Sokaku. Ice team, absolutely insane. Second slot as well as the third slot, fire and thunder team. They are both relatively okay. It really depends on the element that much. Poleda, Soldier 11, Ben versus Grace, Anton, and Rina. Both teams, they are going to be using 2 S rank as well as a 1 A rank, and that's the same for the ice team as well. So these are going to be the quote-unquote meta team comps. Absolute highest damage potential is going to be the ice team. One reason specifically why this ice team is going to be so good is also tied to the ice debuff. So just to quickly go through, what the hell am I talking about? Different elements in Zenless Zone 0, they have different anomalies. Let me just take a look. I believe they said it over here, right? They have different anomalies. So all of these different elements, they will apply a different anomaly. So fire is going to be causing burn. I'm not sure. Yep. Electric is going to cause shock. Physical cause assault. Ice cause freeze. And frostbite, fire cause burn. And ether cause corruption. Freeze. This ice element is the only element right now compared to all other elements that has this dual effect. Specifically, frostbite. This frostbite is one of the reasons why ice element as a whole, this regarding element, is so good compared to any of our other elements because of this increased crit damage taken by the target by a long period. Because remember this crit damage taken, right? So it will be applied to your entire team as well as your main DPS, your support, and everybody will benefit from this increased crit damage taken. Other than that, we also do have the shatter and prevent taking action. No other units have technically they're still great, but ice, the freeze and frostbite, they just stand out slightly more compared to fire, ether, physical, as well as electric, right? So one thing to keep in mind also, we also have like quote-unquote weaknesses. Organic and corrupted, they are weak to fire. Machines, like I mentioned in my previous guide, they are weak to electric. So Grace and Rena is going to do exceptionally well against machines. And mutants, they are going to be weak to ice. And guess what is the most common enemy we have in the game as of 1.0? Mutants. So that is why ice is just a little bit of an advantage right now compared to our other elements. Not by design, where like Ellen or like Ice is tier 0 because every other element is, but just based on the environment that we are going to be playing Zenless Zone 0 in as of the version 1.0. We have more mutant enemies. The Ice debuff just just do a little more damage. This crit damage increase is absolutely bonkers. Ellen is our latest tier 0 unit, right? Our first tier 0 DPS is going to be Ellen, and she's absolutely insane. And we also have a tier 0 break. So everything, the stars aligned. The stars aligned for the Ice team to make the perfect tier 0 team comp as of day 1 in Zenless Zone 0. So it literally just the stars aligned. Maybe in the future, going forward, we are going to see more environments where fire team going to shine. We're going to see more environments where the electric team going to shine. In fact, even like physical team or even the ether team, they will get to shine eventually. But as of version 1.0, the Ice team is going to be the undisputed tier 0 team compared to everything, right? So that's going to be that. Before we wrap up this video, it is not like you have a choice. It is not like you actually have a way to decide who you want to get, because at the end of the day, Zenless Zone 0 is a gacha game. So you really just have to kind of make use of what you have, make use of who you pull, and build the team based on the best of your capabilities. So if you lose your 50-50 to Ellen and you ended up getting, I don't know, Grace, doesn't mean that your account is bricked. Fuck no. At the end of the day, Zenless Zone 0 is still a very, very playable game, regardless of which element is going to be you're going to be using. Ice, fire, electric, all that kind of stuff, they're all going to be viable, right? The most important thing in Zenless Zone 0 is still ultimately choosing a character that you like, choosing a character's playstyle that you like, the design, the playstyle, even their personality, right? Because I think it will make you like the game a little bit more. Don't force yourself to play the meta team in Zenless Zone, because you know why? Nobody is going to be clearing the fucking so-called the Soyu defense anyways, unless you're a whale. Even if you have a tier 0 ice team, you're not going to be strong enough to clear the second half because you need 2 teams. So it doesn't even matter. You're getting a tier 0 team or a tier 1 team or whatever the team, and everybody's just going to be around the same benchmark. Alright, I'm going to be completely free to play in Zenless Zone 0, so I will also be making use of whatever unit I'm going to be getting. If I lose my 50-50 and I didn't get Ellen, then so be it, right? I will show that even if you don't get the tier 0 ice team, you are still going to be absolutely playable, absolutely fine in Zenless Zone 0, right? Because I am going to be a completely relatable, complete 100% true and true, born and raised, free to play in Zenless Zone 0. Insane. And with that, we have come to the end of today's content. Let me know in the comments what you guys think of this tier list. Join the Discord, discord.gg/Pokke is really very active community talking Honkai story and Zenless Zone 0 on a daily basis. Want to check out my streams at twitch.tv/MrPokke, youtube.com/MrPokke. I'm streaming every day. Join the Discord. So that's all of today. All the best for your Ellen pools, all the best for your Firefly pools, all the best for your whatever pools you have in your game. And I'll see you guys next time. Okay.